Sound check. Hello and welcome to the big friendly conversation about mental health. This is Mental Monday. Thank you so much for joining me. Apologies for the slight technical issues at the start. I'm not sure what was going on there, but we do appear to be live. Once again, can I just welcome everyone first to Mental Monday. This is the big friendly conversation about mental health. For the next half an hour, we're going to be having just that. A big friendly conversation about mental health. We will be talking about mental health, obviously, specifically self-care and some of the stuff that's been happening in the news, because obviously we are live, so we are able to respond to that. And if you want to get involved, I would love you to get involved throughout the show. You can do that by going onto my in the chat primarily. Let me just actually open the chat, which is why I'm speaking very slowly, just to give myself time to actually just open everything up behind the scenes. So we are now live on Twitch, so you can reach me in the chat on Twitch, the chat on YouTube, which we also are live on now, which is great. You can also reach me on Twitter at JakeSWrites. You can also reach me on Instagram, Jake_Symons, spelled the same way it is on the channel. But the easiest place, if you are watching this, to message me is in the chat, obviously. So do come say hello. Do let me know how you are, what you've been doing today. If you're here for the first time, this is unscripted. I have a few bullet points on my right, which I'll be looking over to actually talk about kind of specifics of what's happening and like this introduction bit. But as a mental health advocate, you can message me if you do need to talk in that regard. This isn't a therapy session, nor is messaging me outside of this, so just keep that in mind. While I can have a chat, it can't go beyond that. I am not a substitute for professional help, obviously. So if you do need to talk to someone, there are people out there to do that. Or the Samaritans on 116123, or Childline 0800 1111 if you're under 18. And those resources are also there if you're upset by anything that you have today and you don't know who to talk to. Always go to the resources that can help. Not me. Okay, so there we are. That's the introduction. You can reach me after the show as well, so don't just think you have to message throughout the show. If you need to talk during the week, that's fine. Just pop me a message. There we go. So, I want to start off with our usual question. How are you? Yeah. How are you? Are you still, how was last night? Did you carry on drinking after the loss, or was that it? Was that just a very subdued walk home, and what would have been an early night? Because I'm sure if it had been the other way round, some of us may still be been out there right now. But yeah, how are you feeling? I mean, obviously, I am gutted, disappointed, questioning some of the decisions that have been made, but then I'm like really bad at FIFA, so I'm not exactly going to comment on that, considering that that's as kind of as much as my football experience goes, and fantasy Premier League potentially. Get my FPL going, but other than that, that's like the remit of my football experience, so I'm not going to question the decisions. Obviously, they were the best decisions, or apparently the best decisions taken at the time, because obviously we did want to win it, so I trust that, and I trust that judgment. But yeah, I mean, it is really disappointing. And then obviously there's a whole bunch of disappointing people that have like racist abuse and all of that, which has been everywhere on my Twitter feed, and it's like still trending now. And yeah, it's not on at all. But yeah, that's how I am anyway. A bit deflated. How are you? Do let me know how that is going on. We are going to talk about, we're going to not dwell on the Euros. I think we've all relived the penalty shootout enough times. And yeah, so we are going to move on to other things, mainly lockdown easing. So let's start on that. Obviously, that has been confirmed as going ahead on July 19th, which is easing of most restrictions, most remaining restrictions, things like the rule of 6 and having to mask up. Although that's obviously still advised in crowded places like public transport, although it's not law, which, yeah, I'm not sure why, if they want people to carry on doing it, they would not make it a law, but yeah. I'm not too well versed in that, so again, I'm probably not going to say much on that either, but how are you feeling about that? Obviously, en masse, that's obviously been worrying a few people, especially those who are shielding, mainly because if it's up to personal choice, how do you trust people to exercise their personal responsibility safely and do that in a way that's considerate for others when we know that not everyone's going to do that? So is that something that worries you? I mean, it does worry me a little, but hopefully it is the minority and most people are respectful. But yeah, I mean, you can't really do much about other people's behaviour. If someone wants to get too close or not wear a mask, I mean, apart from walking away or starting a confrontation, that's kind of your only options, really. But how are you feeling about that, really? How are you feeling about reopening? Obviously, we see cases are going up, which is natural because we're unlocking as well, social contacts, etc. So, how are you feeling about it all? Really, that's really what I'd like to know. So do let me know your kind of view on that. That would be great to get that in chat, just so I can just hear from you, because obviously I do like hearing your views on stuff too. That does matter. This isn't just, while it is just me talking, it's not just my view, and there is a kind of range, and hopefully that needs to be represented. So putting that in chat, let me hear what you've got to say. Let's talk about it. Do let me know. There we go. So obviously that's all going ahead, and there's going to be new guidance given to those that are shielding, actually, in regards to how they can keep themselves safe. As the restrictions move, it'll be interesting to see if that recommends that they follow more of the advice, like wearing masks and avoiding crowded places, more so than those that are not shielding. It'll just be interesting to read that to see kind of what that is, because obviously that's something we have been doing, so that is important. So there we go. That is everything that's kind of going on in the world, and how you're feeling about it. But yeah, and the reason I include this is because what happens does affect our mental health, and it may seem like, you know, an overreaction to be disappointed or, like, you know, really sad because of the Euros, but, you know, people really get invested in that, and it is crushing, and that is, you know, people do go into low mental health because of that, and they do feel that kind of deflation, and that's only natural, and that's not something to be like, oh, just get over it, it's a game. You know, we can talk about that, we can say the game meant a lot, and we can say that, and it's okay to say that, it's okay to air that emotion, obviously respectfully, but I just feel that we do have to kind of cover what plays into our mental health on a daily basis, because most of us are either on social media, or if you're watching this, you've got your Twitter feed going, you've got Instagram, you've got your news notifications, and just what other people send you in group chats, and there's a lot of news stuff, and there's a lot of news coverage, so, you know, you can't shut it off. And while I did a blog actually about how to, like, block words on social media, so this was actually something I meant to write in 2019, and it was primarily aimed at for eating disorders, because obviously the theme of Mental Health Awareness Week 2019 was body image, and it was about how to block and mute phrases on social media and that kind of stuff. and it's on the website, which is linked in the description. But the idea was that by muting words, you kind of minimise your exposure to stuff that could set back your recovery. So kind of inspiration or kind of stuff like that, for want of a better word. And that kind of, when you've got this kind of regular news coverage, you can't get away from it all. And some of it you do have to process, and some of it you do have to deal with. And there was a lot of talk by the Mental Health Foundation, among others, about how to actually deal with this back in the early days when, we were all tuned to those daily briefings, which then were every day. And it was all about how to minimise your news coverage and that kind of stuff. But, when everyone else is glued to that too, you can't just island yourself away from that. So it is something that has to be addressed, and hopefully by this being live, by this being regular, we do have the opportunity here to actually address some of what's going on and just take a chance to talk about it. And obviously talking about it with mental health in mind. That's why we include this as the first section, really, because it's really helpful for me anyway, to actually talk about what's going on, and that helps me process it. Talking helps me process things, which is why I do this. So obviously I love talking to a YouTube live, but there we go. That is. I just wanted to explain why we did that, because I don't think I've gone into that, and it's kind of like, why do we talk about current stuff as well as obviously mental health themes, and that is why. So I will just leave that to have your thoughts on that. Is this something you like? Is this something that is helpful? I do want to get into those kind of questions near the end though, so I might save comments on that just to get back nearer to the end. Because right now we are talking about self-care. I said I was going to talk about self-care on the end of last Mental Monday. We are going to talk about self-care now. And specifically, I want to kind of relaunch, because I have a whole bunch of blog posts in a OneNote folder, because I have all my entire blog is managed on OneNote basically, and I have an entire folder on there of self-care blogs that I didn't actually write, and I think it would be a nice chance to kind of revive some of those. But to do that, I do want your feedback ultimately, and kind of discuss how we can structure those, how we can write them, how we can present them, and what content's going to help you, really, is what I want to know. How can I structure a self-care kind of, because self-care is one topic, so how can I structure this topic that will best help? I mean, obviously we see a lot of self-care ideas and self-care challenges, which is the original format was taking some time for yourself across 7 days to get you into the habit of doing something self-care-y every day. And because I got asked this, I thought I would mention that self-care is as simple as eating something. It's as simple as, just getting up in the morning, having a shower, getting through a day. If you are getting through, that is self-care. If you take that time for yourself, and it's not just the big stuff. We think of self-care, we immediately go to, nice bubble baths, nice kind of, all that kind of scenty stuff we'd see on Instagram, a hashtag self-care. But self-care is actually a lot more than that, and if you drink enough water, if you eat something, etc., that's also self-care. If you take some fresh air, if you take yourself out of a negative situation and you go for a walk, or you break that up with something else, that's self-care as well. So there's a lot that goes into self-care that's beyond what stereotypically would be considered self-care, and I think it's important to highlight that as well. I don't want it to be too kind of not sure what the right words for it, but too kind of focused on big self-care activities when actually small self-care activities can matter, and do matter in fact. But obviously, that does help some people. A nice bubble bath, a nice massage. It does help people. So is that something that would be valuable? Do let me know. Talking of water, I'm going to have some just as we come into the second half of Mental Monday. Much better. So, it is worth talking about the little things when it comes to self-care, as I've mentioned. So, how do you feel about that? Do let me know in the chat. And self-care is all part of recovery, really. And I think for me, the biggest thing that's helped me on my own recovery journey is looking after myself. And especially in the mental health community, there is a lot of empathy towards others in the mental health community, because we obviously understand more so what people are going through because we've been there ourselves. And the people in the mental health community, people that have, suffer from mental illness, are some of the nicest people that I know, really. And I mean, that's not, you can't just generalise that and say, well, everyone is. But just in personal experience, the level of empathy and the kind of the deep conversations, mainly, and it's specifically the deep conversations that you can have with people that talk like really deeply, is great. And I really do feel that, and there's a connection there. And self-care does help recovery, and that's why I just wanted to highlight it, because I feel like that's going to be valuable for people in the mental health community. And not just if you're in the mental health community. I say that because personally I feel the mental health community has supported me from terms of the content they've posted, or if I'm having a bad day and I just post I have a bad day and getting comments from people like, oh, you can talk to me, etc, etc. And that is a community, that really is, and I feel part of it. That's why I say it. But don't sit there if you don't have, say, a mental illness, because we can all go through periods of low mental health. We don't have to have, well, 1 in 4 of us may have a diagnosable mental illness, I believe. That is what that applies to, the 1 in 4 statistic that's always thrown around. We all experience low mental health at some point. We all will have a low moment. And in those moments, you can still do things like self-care. You can still just look after yourself, because, it doesn't have to be like this has to be applicable to mental illness. It can just be for low mental health as well. So looking after yourself, taking a walk, drinking water, eating properly, While it's harder for those with mental illness to do those things, don't feel like, focus on those as well. Be kind to yourself, and I think that's really important for everyone, really, not just those in the mental health community. So don't feel like that's to the exclusion of you, but rather that is the focus of what we talk about here. And that's why I think, especially if it's a particular challenge, to do those kind of basic things. So you're going through a really large depressive episode and you struggle to kind of get up in that. I think it's very important to take those steps a day at a time, and to just be there for yourself and try and get through each day. And that's just something that's really helped me, is just day at a time. And that's something that I've said from when we started these in March 2020. It was all about a day at a time, looking after yourself. And that's kind of some of what I want to talk about as well So when I talk about self-care, while some of it will focus on self-care activities and obviously give you some ideas for that and share some other people's as well, because I don't want my blog just to be about me, because obviously this is one experience. This is not, you can't generalize this to a typical mental health experience, and therefore it's important to just bring other perspectives into that. So there we go. That is why we're doing it. Before we close off today, I wanted to mention a couple of things coming up for summer, just to kind of get some community feedback on it before it happens. The first is that I have removed on YouTube all the content pre the restart of Mental Monday. So basically, that we've been live every 2 weeks now from last May 2020, so just over a year now. And there was obviously content before then, because then there was a break, and then obviously Mental Health Awareness Week of 2019, and some other smaller content as well. Now, I've taken that content off because it was from the previous kind of series of Mental Monday, and I need a chance to review that content before. So hopefully that clears up why that's been done. I may or may not put the content back. I need a chance to go through it properly to make sure that the content is still applicable. I have grown a lot with Mental Monday, and I feel that some of the content, mainly the delivery rather than what was actually said, but mainly the actual delivery is not clear and it's not helpful for anyone, and it's just wasting space on my account. And purging some of that old content, starting afresh with the restart of Mental Monday, everything it's a new start for it, and I think that will be really helpful. I'm also considering creating pages, so if you can't sit and watch the whole episode, or if you don't want to for some reason, you will be able to, say, read the highlights of the episode. So creating a page on the website for every Mental Monday with a little link to the video under the Mental Monday page. That may be something in the pipeline. Again, I am trying to slowly work through my old content. I have a lot of old content going back to 2018, and I need a chance to go through everything. So once I do that, I will be able to provide more details and hopefully have something to show for it, either a page on the website or a new update. I have been through and updated all the YouTube descriptions, because some of it, like Snapchat, is no longer applicable as I no longer have that account. So there's a few other things on there. That's all from me then today. I know it's been a short one, but what we're trying not to do is drag Mental Monday out. So when it seems like a natural break, that's when we stop. And I feel like that works a lot better, because this is a conversational format. So if the conversation was to run out, then it kind of makes sense that we'd stop, because I don't want to just continue waffling on. We are not doing a summer break. I do want to confirm that. We previously in 2019 we did do a summer break. That won't be happening. We'll go right through, because it is every 2 weeks now, so that's actually less workload, so I can fit that in. So the next Mental Monday will be on the 26th of July. We will be discussing how reopening's going, and a few other things, probably mainly self-care, and actually some details, what self-care activities, and kind of recovery, self-care, mental health journeys, but taking a kind of a broad overview, because I've been very specific with things like recovery, and I feel like it may be worth taking a step back and thinking, what is recovery? Why are we doing this? How do we get there? And how you can help yourself, because it may be so hard to actually help yourself through each day, and kind of how I've found when I've been in those low moments, how I've got through those days, and that kind of stuff. So really kind of moving from very kind of wishy-washy high level stuff like everyone's recovery journey is different, and other overused cliches that really are, yeah, everyone knows, but actually moving into specific how that can practically help you, and how you can use it to get better on your specific journey. So hopefully that clears up what we're going to be talking about. In the meantime, if you do want to talk about anything, or you do see something and you think, ooh, that'd be good to talk about on Mental Monday, just let me know. Just throw me a message. Twitter at JakeSWrites, Instagram Jake_Symons. Just send a message. I'd love to talk about it. I am proactive in this, so if you do have any messages you want to send me, please do. In the meantime, I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you so much for coming to Mental Monday. This has been the big friendly conversation about mental health, or by its new title, Mental Monday Mental Health Live, which is much shorter and also ranks on number 1 for the phrase Mental Monday. That's an SEO thing. If you do SEO, which you may do if you kind of follow my agency and that kind of stuff, you'll know what that is. Otherwise, don't worry about it. Just know that Mental Monday is changed its name ages ago. So hopefully you do know that by now. And I digress. Anyway, thank you so much for coming to Mental Monday, and I will see you all in 2 weeks' time for the next episode, when we will be reopened and back to normal-ish, ? We'll see how it goes. Anyway, as I say, reach me in the meantime at JakeSWrites, Jake_Symons, both in the description. Other than that, I will see you all